Shalom. I want to start by giving all praises, honors, and glories to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak Kodash. I want to give double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone because they taught us this 100% truth according to the spirits of be Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect that they're pushing this word through the four corners of the earth in truth and sincerity. And peace and blessings to you hopeful believers out there, which are also a part of the elect. So I say Shalom. And once again, I want to say call law, Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachak Kodash. Forgive me how Rachak Kodash, the Holy Spirit, to do this lesson on today. Lord willing to feed you lamb and sheep of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, man. So we got a video that the power and spirit of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, and I just want to go into, some prophecy because, you got Trump with these tariffs and things, these tariffs, and, these tariffs are going to have an impact on the economy. The economy classes, to be more specific. These tariffs, they can have an impact on the economy classes, right? And this is just, not saying this is the way that the Lord is going to go. This is a possibility because there's so many ways the Lord is approaching this thing. It's crazy. He has prophecy planned out. It's so beautiful. But this is just something I did notice, so the power and spirit of Yahweh Shai, these tariffs, which is taxes on imported goods and things like that. And I just wanted to go into the aspect of how it affect, economic classes like, the rich, the middle class, the poor, because we do understand that pursuant to Revelation 13:16, there's going to be only rich and poor. We do know that's going to come to pass. Could this be a way of it happening? Could be, could not, But nevertheless, because, the reason I'm saying that because recently, I watched the video on it, but recently that there's a Quan put a video in the chat, and a lot of these countries that have tariffs, and they was kind of doing retaliatory tariffs on the U.S., like the EU and the U.K. Prime Minister. I mean, not the Prime Minister, but the U.K., They came out vocally and said, we renege on our decision. We don't want to deal with these tariffs. You see, we don't want to deal with them. So we reneging on our decision, and they're pretty much, they doing exactly what Trump said they will do, which I want to make a video on that too. But nevertheless, I want to tackle the tariffs because I went to ChatGPT, pulled up a couple things pertaining towards the tariff, and it was pretty interesting. It was pretty interesting. So I'm going to read a little bit of it and pull a couple scripture, Pull a couple scriptures. As a matter of fact, I want to start off with this scripture first. This is 2nd Esdras. It's Salakia. Wi-Fi acting a little slow. This is 2nd Esdras chapter 15, verse 1. It says, Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord. You see? And, we know, according to Revelation 19, that the spirit of prophecy, that's Yahweh Shai. The spirit of Yahweh Shai, the testimony, Salakia, of Yahweh Shai is prophecy. We know this. So, we going into prophecy because it's all about prophecy. Everything banks on prophecy. And we see prophecy unfolding, and we are measuring, this is part of measuring the time diligently in itself so we can understand what type of precautions we need to make sure we're doing as servants of Yahweh Shai so we could be hid from this time. And that's ultimately focusing on that fear of the Lord. But like that, I want to go into these tariffs. I want to read a little bit of it because I asked ChatGPT, and you can ask Gronk. I got Gronk too, but I just did ChatGPT. I was just looking at stuff, right? And I had asked it. Let me scroll up. Let me see. I said, how do tariffs affect every different classification of people, like the rich, middle class, etc.? And it says tariffs, taxes imposed on imported goods, affect different economic classes in distinct ways. Here's a breakdown of how they typically impact various groups. And it said, first, the low-income individuals, working class. It said negative effects. It says the higher prices tariff make imported goods more expensive since low-income households spend a larger portion of the income on goods, especially necessities. They feel the pinch more acutely, right? So these tariffs, when you're looking from an outside in, And you look at a lot of people responding to these tariffs and things like that, you will see that pretty much that the main ones that will be affected by the tariffs will be the low class. It's not going to be the rich, right? The low class is going to have some negative effects. They're going to really feel the pinch. They're going to feel it. They're going to feel it, right? The low class, they're going to feel the tariffs effects. They're going to feel the effects of the tariffs, right? And that's if it goes this way, you see. But they're going to feel the effects. Because also, too, because what Trump putting these tariffs out is to make these people that build their product outside of America to build it here in America, which that could open up more jobs for people with low income. It could open up more jobs, more job opportunity for people. So that could be that's a positive effect. That's the positive effect as far as what Trump's trying to do. You see, and then it says middle class, it said moderate effects. It says middle class families are most likely to buy consumer electronic cars and other products affected by tariffs. It says tariffs on these goods can raise costs for families and reduce purchasing power, right? And then it says wealthy mixed impact. It said wealthier individuals can absorb higher prices more easily. And that was the main point right there, how, when you go into the different aspects, the low income is going to take the biggest blow. Middle class, kind of iffy. Wealthy, they have enough money to absorb the tariffs. So they have enough money to get through it. Right? Now, right, I had put in, could tariffs eliminate certain economic classes if depend on how long and their place. Sorry, I mistyped. I put in, could tariffs eliminate certain economic classes depending on how long they are put in place? And it said, great question. Tariffs can definitely reshape economic classes over time, especially their place for a long period, right? And it says whether or not to eliminate, it's kind of complex. But you read it, it says low income classes risk of getting poorer. So if you're already low income, tariffs could bring forth you being more pushed into poverty, you see, right? Now, when you go down to middle class, it says most at risk of being hollowed out. So that means that the middle class, due to these tariffs, if they don't go exactly how Trump is planning how I'm going to go, and ultimately, if they don't go how the Lord wants, let me put it like this, because anything that happens, this is how the Lord wants it to play out. But however, if the Lord wants it to play out, if he wants the tariffs to eliminate the middle class and bring forth, because we know, pursuant to Revelation 13:16, there's going to be a poor and a rich class, and how things looking, the tariffs could be a avenue to do that. But there's also other ways that the Lord could do it too. So, with that being said, nevertheless, the middle class is going to be eliminated. It is going to be eliminated. It'll come to non-existent, and it'll only be poor to poverty and rich. You know what I'm saying? And it says the upper class unlikely to be eliminated. You see, unlikely to be eliminated. Now, the reason I wanted to go into these things because do you think that when these things happen, right? Because we know inflation is coming. That's prophecy. You know what I'm saying? Inflation is coming. Prices are going to skyrocket. You're not going to be able to buy certain things. And we always follow that up with looting or people resorting to means of robbing, stealing from other people, doing things like that. Niggas already do that shit now. How much more when you can't even buy and you can't even go, gas costs you $80, you see? So, it all depends how this plays out. It all depends, but we know tariffs could be a large point, a large way, a large instrument to use to initiate more job loss and more people resorting to more immoral ways of stealing, killing, and so on and so forth, Now, this is another thing I want to pull out too. I says, which economic groups predominantly populate the middle to lower class? It says, that's a thoughtful question. Yeah, it's a thoughtful question. The answer depends on, the country, but this is talking about bullshit. But nevertheless, it says middle lower class by ethnic group. It says, number one, white Americans, so Esau. It's the largest share of the middle class by raw numbers simply because they make up the largest portion of the U.S. population, which is false. I don't know. I mean, ain't no fucking way Esau make up majority of the U.S. population. Jake do. That's what majority of the Israelites say, and we the biggest nation. So that's false, but nevertheless, not too much. But it says black or African Americans overrepresented in the lower class, right? These are the ones that are mentioned in the lower class. Now, we just mentioned that middle class will cease to exist. So the white Americans, they are the Esau. We know he resides predominantly in the upper class and partially in the middle class. He ain't just taking over the middle class, but he's in there. Because you got some Jake in there too. You know what I'm saying? But it's, Jake is predominantly in the lower class, right? So we just going to be sucked more into poverty. So it's got you got and even if Jake is in middle class, they're going to be demoted to poverty. So you got black Americans and mentions to be in that category, Hispanic, Latino, and Americans, so the Northern Kingdom, you know what I'm saying, being in that category, and the Native Americans, you know what I'm saying, another portion of the Northern Kingdom being in that category, and they mentions that Asians, Americans, but we ain't worried about them niggas, them heathen, but. These three mentioned that's going to be in, they'll be sucked down to the middle class. I'm sucked down to the poverty, low class. If they're in the middle class, if they're already in poor or in poverty or in a low class, they'll just be sucked down even more, right? And this right here too shows you this is just another aspect of Jacob troubles, because that's Jake trouble. Jake is going to be in trouble due to this systematic collapse of this earth going on. The main ones is going to be in trouble when this stuff begins to happen as we see it. The main one is going to be Jake, man. Jake is going to be in trouble. That's hence why it's called Jacob Troubles. Jake, Israelites, is going to be the main one in trouble. Don't get it twisted. The nation's going to feel it too. Any nation that's dwelling in America, they going to feel it. The whole world going to feel the plagues of the Lord. But Jake going to take a big brunt of the plagues due to the fact of being in such a low position. But the ones that are serving Yahweh, watch my shy. Because you got to think about it. Revelation 12:12 said the devil comes down with great wrath. He comes down with great wrath upon who? The world. The people that dwell on the earth. Who are the lowest people that dwell on earth? Jake. They're the lowest. Financially, they don't got no military, they ain't got shit. Esau, Esau won't even jack up his own people, but at least his own people have more sense of a voice, and they don't got the curses on them, so they have the ability to, I guess you could say, escape it, which we know nobody's going to be able to escape, especially if you're in America. Nobody's going to be able to escape the thermonuclear missiles in America, and if you're scattered amongst the world, you're not going to be able to escape the judgment of the Lord. The only ones who will escape it are the elect. But I'm just saying, though, they'll be able to survive, you know what I'm saying, according to this, they'll be able to survive certain collapses where they're like due to the tariffs, it could cause a increase in the price for goods and a lot of job loss, you see. And the ones that will be able to survive that will be the heathens, most likely. But when it comes to Jake, Israelites, they're not going to be able to survive that. So it's going to cause them to resort to what? Looting. And that looting could lead to what? Martial law. Now Esau's created a problem. Now he's bringing the answer, you see. So I want to pull a couple of scriptures, man. This is I want to go back to 2nd Ezra 15, and I'm going to jump down to verse 19. It says, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their house with the sword and spoil their goods because of lack of bread and for great tribulation. You see? And this is going into famine. This is going into famine, a lack of bread. You see? The lack of bread due to the famine that's going to come upon earth. Inflation is a sign of famine. That wouldn't say inflation is a sign, because if the reason the prices of the food is going up is due to the lack of food, whether it be in a sense of like, oh, Trump put tariffs and they're not sending us goods no more. Bottom line, it will be a famine within that land that is not getting those certain type of goods. You see, there'll be a scarcity of, because famine means a scarcity of food. So it'll be a scarcity of food for consumers. And we know that the United States is the biggest consumer in the world. These people are fat as shit here. They're obese. They're big as shit. So they're consuming a lot of fucking shit, right? So if that's not able to consume these things, even fucking addicts here, man. You got fucking what's they call it? like stress eating and whatever. You got all this shit, eating, just consuming bullshit, right? But when they're not able to do that, it's going to result in what? A man should have no pity upon his neighbor, but should destroy their houses. Even Ariella, he makes a beautiful point. What you going to do if you take away a man's sandwich? He can't feed his family. He got to make it somehow. You know? It's going to come by way of this. This is prophecy. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but should destroy their houses with the sword. In the modern day, sword is a gun. And spoil their goods because of lack of bread and for great tribulation. You see? Jacob troubles, great tribulation upon the earth. It's going to be great tribulation. You see? And that's going to cause individuals to loot, to steal. The time of Jacob troubles, pretty much. A time where you ain't going to be able to just go to the grocery store and buy some food. It won't be no food there. And if the food is there, it's fucking overly priced. And you know, I'm not buying that. Jake not buying that shit. These fucking heathen ain't going to buy it. Some of them might have the money, but they're not even going to buy it. How much more Jake? Man, Jake ain't going to buy that shit. Jake just going to steal it. You know? Gonna go into them Edomite neighborhoods. You see them gated community, right? So jumping up, I want to go to 2 Ezra 15. And 15 says, for the sword and the destruction draweth nigh. One people shall stand up and fight against another with swords in their hand. You see, and that's what you're going to see happen. You see? As a matter of fact, let me go to the prior verse. Oh shit, I'm gonna start at 12. It says that Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that the power yet how by Shah shall bring upon it. And that's what we see happening, because Esau thinks he's running the show, but this is all a part of the Lord bringing his plagues upon the earth. Whether he used it in the form of Esau thinks he's controlling it, it doesn't matter. We know Esau's controlled, and we know prophecy is going to ultimately be fulfilled. It said that in Isaiah 55 and Isaiah 46. At the end of the day, the counsel of the Lord going to stand. No matter how it looks, no matter how it comes about, it's going to stand. And nevertheless, the Lord mentioned how would it play out. Of course, we don't know the football field. We don't know how much big it is by inch centimeter, but we do know the overall of it is what? 100 yards. Same thing with prophecy. We know that the end all, whatever Esau do, whatever the Lord have Esau do, it's going to bring forth a famine. It's going to bring forth a lot. It's going to bring forth a division amongst people fighting against each other. You know what I'm saying? People killing because the lack of food. Many going to perish of famine. And Esau, what he's trying to do is it's going to ultimately lead to the beast system, the image being being established on earth. You know what I'm saying? By way of you submitting to that beast system by taking the MOTV, the C-hip. We know that this is what is going to happen. And it's going to be all, you know, we know that it's going to be during the World War III is going to be going on. You see? We know these processes are going to be happening. It's going to be some way in that field. And we see that, you know, with the tariffs, the World War III, you know what I'm saying, them hating the whore, Canada, you know, France, was part of the EU, pretty much hating the whore. We see this. We see the prophecy happening. It's going to be somewhere in this category, because that's what times we're in. We're in the times of those things happening. You see, and those things, in the time of the plagues, the Lord bringing the plagues on Egypt to destroy it. Because what happened after the plagues? The salvation. We in the time of our salvation, because we see the Lord is gearing Esau and moving him towards certain things where he's going to judge him for that shit and bring his plagues upon the earth, and it comes after. That's how we know our salvation is close. You see, but this 2 Ezra 15-13 says, They that till the ground shall mourn, for their seed shall fail through to the blasting in hell and with the fearful constellation. Exactly. Bad weather, droughts, whatnot, not allowing the farmers to produce their seeds, their crops due to that. And you be seeing storms, tornadoes, earthquakes. You see? Esau doing tampering with shit. You see that. It says woe, which means destruction to the world and them that dwell therein. And we know this is talking about you niggas. You know what I'm saying? And fuck you heathen. You ain't got a chance to get saved, but you niggas. Because, like she say, if ye was of the world, if ye was of the world would love his own. But I am not of the world, because I testify against it. So know that hateth me, for I hate you. Right? So the elect are not of the world. So woe, destruction to the world. It's not destruction to that harmonious arrangement of Yahweh, the elect, because they're not of the world. Do not say their conversation is in heaven, right? So keep going. It says, for the sword and destruction draweth nigh, right? So as you see the destruction, the sword of destruction of this place drawing nigh, and one people, so this is a latter time prophecy. So as we see these things happening, people are going to do it. It says, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and another sword, and another, stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. You see? Keep going, verse 16. For there should be sedition amongst men, evading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, just all out anarchy. This is a precept of Matthew 24, right? Matthew 24, which I'll pull it real quick. Right, let me see. This is Matthew 24 and verse 7. It says, for nation shall rise up against nation, kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. All these is the beginning of sorrows. You see, World War III, even like just Jake going against Esau. You see, right? So let me see. I think I need to jump down. Yep, jumping down. It says verse 12. It says, and because iniquity shall abound, which we see that happening, immorality is at an all-time high. When you think it ain't nothing new, it's something new. And shall deceive, slacking. The love of many shall wax cold, and you see that. It ain't gonna be no, hey man, we went to school together. It's gonna be fuck that shit, nigga. You got food. You telling me you was prepping. You was a doomsday prepper. You was telling me you was prepping. I want that shit, nigga. They gonna have a gun. It ain't gonna be no asking. No. And Esau, he got his hand. It's brown is down. It's brown is down. We know cannibalism gonna come back. Cannibalism is coming back in earth. If it ain't no food to eat, and if it's a scarcity of food, these niggas, these niggas, they gonna have demons on it. They gonna turn people into food. The road shows that. They gonna turn people into food, man. You see? The farmer came to the ground, and Esau, he think he's gonna have the answers to all this. We can make GMO. We could do this. We could do that. The Lord gonna crash your system, nigga. Now, of course, we know that as the world is going to be in all out these things happening, Esau's gonna bring this order, his so-called order, and it's you're gonna have to take the seed to initially indulge in that, to indulge in commerce, to buy things. We know that's gonna happen. We know it's gonna happen, but the Lord he's gonna put that shit to naught. He's gonna stop that shit. Because we know as Esau's establishing his NWO, he's establishing his new world, his enterprise, he's getting people hipped up. Russia gonna say, fuck you. Beep, beep. Russia, your allies of America, they gonna send them missiles over here to destroy this place. You see? But read this again, 2 15 and 16 says, for they shall be should be sedition, which I wonder what that word sedition means. I think it means like division. See, every time I look up shit like this, it don't ever give me what I'm looking for. Let me copy. Let me just look it up real quick. That word sedition. It says conduct or speech inciting people to rebel against the authority in the states of anarchy. My bad, a states of monarch. So rebellion against the government. See, rebellion against the government. So there's going to be sedition among men. They're not going to be regarding the authorities no more. Right? They're not going to be regarding the authorities. Right? It says invading one another. And how you show them, and how does they show that they're not regarding the authority? It's gonna come by the acts of stealing. If even now, bro, you got niggas out here driving around, they ain't even got their damn tags renewed, cause they don't give a damn. They don't care about authority. They don't give a damn. But it says, for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another, they shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Exactly. They're going to be justified in what they doing because I can't feed my kids. I can't feed my kids. And the next verse, it goes into martial law. Man should desire to go into the city. Verse 17. And man should desire to go into the city and should not be able to. So as all this anarchy, this looting, this stealing, all these things are happening, Esau's going to come with his solution because he created the problem. You know what I'm saying? Well, ultimately, Yahweh Shai used him to create the problem to fulfill prophecy. Well, people will do that. And he's going to bring his solution. Martial law. You see? Military pretty much initiating out everything. Martial law. You know? Now you got the sea hip walking around. You done took the sea hip and shit. You know, can I go into the city? Well, sir, you got insufficient funds on your sea hip. We're going to have to turn your shit off. You know, or whatever. You see? But like I was reading, man, you know, see these tariffs, you know, we going to see how it play out. You know, we going to see how it play out because, look, man, call all you. How about my shy? Getting a little too excited. How the Lord, you know what I'm saying? We be impatient. We know as long as we waiting, but how the Lord is doing with this, how he's working, you know, having this devil operate, you know, it's just beautiful. Prophecy is so beautiful, man. Just looking at how it is how the Lord's, like, how the Lord gonna do, like, it's just so anticipating how the Lord's doing it, how he's making Esau do this. He's painting this picture that he's gonna do that, then he doesn't do that, he does this instead. He makes Esau, like, it's just beautiful. So, not saying that these tariffs are gonna bring for the famine and this is gonna happen. Not saying that, but these tariffs they could lead to that. It's an aspect. We just pull the chat GPT. If you're in middle class, you're going down to the low class. And we know, you know, that's Esau small. And when it refers to when John seen that vision, it was poor people and rich. It wasn't no people that was in the middle. It was black or white, pretty much. You see? So Lord, this is edifying through the power and spirit of Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai. And feed you lamb and sheets of Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai. Lord, when he was edified, we're going to end off saying, call Allah Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai Bahashim Rachakwadash. You know? I'm going to give them honor to the apostles, the great millstone, and to y'all. I'm going to say shalom.